So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in January 2011, and at the time it was my 40th birthday, and I was pregnant with my second son, so I was 7 months pregnant. So we decided then to go for a C-section the next week at 33 weeks, and then I started my cancer treatment approximately a week after that. So I started with chemotherapy, and then about halfway through the chemotherapy they decided to do the surgery, which was a mastectomy and a lymph node clearance. So that was around April time, and I suppose it was probably about August I noticed sort of a heaviness and a sort of ache in my arm. And lymphedema had been mentioned to me, but sort of very fleetingly at the time of surgery, and I didn't really know much about it. So subsequent to that, I was referred to the lymphedema service here in the cancer centre at the City Hospital, and I received 3 weeks intensive treatment to really reduce the swelling in my arm and be fitted with a compression garment to enable the swelling to be controlled. So the compression garment was fitted at that time, and then my swelling also necessitated sort of nighttime bandaging. So that involved my husband having to be taught here by the therapist how to apply bandages at nighttime. So really it was compression all day long and in the evening as well. So to be honest, it was an awful shock to sort of learn that it was sort of a lifelong condition, and that it was something I'd have to sort of cope with every day, which was sort of devastating for me at the time. The compression garments, they were really uncomfortable. Well, I felt they were uncomfortable at the beginning, and I found it even hard to tolerate them for an hour. And the thought of, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to wear this forever was a challenge. But gradually I've learnt to adapt and cope with wearing it every day. And also one very positive improvement was at night time. I have a nighttime garment now, which is a lot quicker and far more convenient than having to do the bandaging every night. So that gives my husband a little bit of a break. I think the key thing for me really, when you've been through or sort of in the middle of cancer treatment and have 2 small children, it was just sort of the final whammy, you think, my goodness, I can't believe this. So emotionally and sort of psychologically, it was sort of at a time when your reserves are rather low, that you're now having to sort of face this and cope with this. So, I mean, there are other sort of challenges in terms of sort of body image. Obviously cancer treatment can involve, and in my case did involve, a mastectomy, so and losing your hair and all those sort of issues. So at a time when you sort of feel your body's sort of taking a bit of a battering, it's sort of another layer, and I think it's a very visible condition, and people do sort of stare, and I suppose it affects what you wear. You try to wear things that cover it up because it extends from the garments extend from under my armpit right down to my fingertips. So, it has a lot of impact in that way, and what you decide to wear, and finding things that are sort of large enough to sort of fit over your swollen arm. And even, in terms of maybe a nice sunny day, where you'd love just to put on a wee summer dress and you're having to sort of cover everything up, and then you sweat under your garments, so it can be uncomfortable, but it's like everything else. I suppose you just learn to adapt and avoid the heat and avoid situations that make your condition worse. When I came to the city, they obviously taught me how to manage the condition myself, and one of the components include the compression, but also really good skin management to prevent infections in the arm. And also exercise can be very helpful, and especially swimming, because the water in the pool sort of acts as a sort of resistance to your arm. So especially in the early days, I tried to swim an hour every day. I was a bit fanatical. And I think the reason why I really loved doing that, it was the only hour of the day where I didn't have to wear the compression garment, because the water acted as a compression for me. So it was sort of a double benefit. I got the break from wearing the garment, and also I found the swimming itself sort of helped move the fluid sort of up my arm as well. So that was a real benefit, and something I felt I could do myself as well, which was really good. And I've tried to keep that up as much as I can, but with a young family, it wasn't always easy. So the initial treatment consisted of 3 weeks bandaging, and I attended every other day to have manual lymph drainage, and then the bandages applied, and I wasn't in a good place at that time. I was sort of very upset, and so the therapists were great here, and that they sort of helped you sort of take control of the situation and sort of helped you, encourage you, things you could do to sort of manage the condition yourself. So after the 3 weeks treatment, then the swelling was obviously minimised as much as possible, and then after that it's a matter of sort of management and 6 monthly reviews in terms of measuring my arm and being refitted for compression garments then for the next 6 months to follow that. Well, I suppose information is power, really, and I think the big thing I felt was there was so little awareness of it and there was so little attention paid to it. Obviously, understandably, the focus was on your cancer treatment and keeping alive, which is obviously the top priority, but you know, I felt I wasn't really equipped with all the information I needed. So I think, you know, a good starting point is really finding out about the condition and things you can do to help yourself, and obviously the awareness that the service is here, and you know, they will help you get you through it.